We are in the process of building a tiny home resort in Idaho City, Idaho. It's our first kind of major project that we've done other than renovating properties and turning them into vacation rentals, so it is a big project for us. We're going to talk about 3 things we got right, 3 things we got wrong, and I'll share the cheat code I discovered. That's the secret key to this process and saved us in the end. It's official. We have finally reached the end. We are at the end of demolition. It's been a long haul, 4 months to be exact. We are finally at a point where we are starting from zero. One of the first things that we got right was making sure that our permits was the very first order of business that we got to. Through that permitting process, which took us about 90 days to get about 80% of the way through it, we were able to figure out which foundations were legal. We were able to figure out what we needed for permitting as far as the mobile home removal. We were able to work out things with the city just as far as understanding how our water meters, electrical, all of those things worked. So again, and in permitting, it was also important in working with the right builder, which we chose Drop Structures, and having them ready to go once we closed on the property was also just a huge help. I can't speak highly enough about making sure you have the right builder that understands the permitting process for whatever your needs are. But these guys basically did all the work. All I had to do was basically take their information, send it to the city. Their inspectors would go back, make notes, tell me what else we needed to do. They'd send it back to me, I'd send it to them, they'd make the corrections, revisions, etc. If you are using an out-of-state contractor or an out-of-state builder, for example, you are gonna have to get, at least for Idaho, like an Idaho state seal on your blueprints. So that means that we had to basically get a different Idaho engineer involved, what they call a peer review, and a peer review is where they review it at a cost, obviously, and they sign off on your blueprints and make it legal for the state that you're doing business or putting your construction in. We definitely would not have known that unless we did the permits in the very beginning, which saved us a bunch of time. Let's talk about what we got wrong. We should have spent more time trying to understand who locally might be able to help us rather than doing it ourselves. Now I will say, I don't regret that we did it ourselves because we learned a ton from bringing in heavy equipment, running the excavator. We learned just a lot about demolition in and of itself. We learned about dumpsters, trash. So there was a ton that we learned. But if I would have known what I know now, I don't know if I could have met Tom earlier in my journey. It wasn't like he was advertised necessarily. But if I would have met Tom, what I could have done is probably pulled the mobile homes off, shipped them across the street to his lot, broken them down over there, and then I would have had a whole lot less trash and debris removal, and it wouldn't have obviously made such a mess on my lot. So if I would have had that to do over again, I definitely would have spent more time on a local level, kind of trying to figure out possible options before just plunging right into it. Second thing that I think we got right was definitely getting the demolition and charging it before wintertime. It was really questionable, and a lot of people said it was ill-advised for us to try and even start it before wintertime. We started in the middle of November, so we were right on that edge of snow coming, is it coming, will it be coming, here it is coming. But we were able to get basically, like I said, 80% of it done. And so in doing that though, we realized our power lines weren't right. We realized the Idaho Electric wasn't going to allow us to run power lines overhead because they're already so low and they weren't going to raise them. They were going to force us to retrench them underground. Well, in order to do that, you've got to get a site plan, you've got to work with a designer to get that done. There was a 3-month waiting list for new construction projects. So if we wouldn't have got on the waiting list in wintertime, so we were ready to go by spring, that could have set us back, in a large way, preventing from opening. So it was very good that we were able to do that. In going through that process, we also learned that we were going to put in new sewer and new water just because the locations we were going to put them in were different, and the other thing that we realized in kind of going through it is that the water and the sewer lines are super old, prone to potential failure. And so if we were going to just do this project and do it right, really doing it with brand new sewer and water is definitely the right thing to do. So we would have known that if we wouldn't have started until we started in the wintertime. So glad we got to know that. Here's the second thing we got wrong. Complete misunderstanding of trash removal and the amount of the weight, the cost, and the scheduling. From just a guy that knows nothing and knowing that they're gonna bring me 40-yard dumpsters and driving by 40-yard dumpsters and being like, oh, okay, that's a ton of, that'll hold all kinds of trash. Yeah, that is not how it works at all. And thinking you can just fill a 40-yard dumpster to the top and just smash everything down is absolutely not how trash removal works. It's based on weight. In our case, it was 40,000 pounds. And so that, coupled with the fact that I thought a dumpster a day was going to be okay, was just a complete misestimate on my part. So If I had it to do over again and I had committed to doing it the way that we chose to do it, I would have definitely made sure that we had at least 2 dumpsters a day. I would have probably tried to have 4 or 5 dumpsters lined up this minute that we started taking down these mobile homes. So definitely got it wrong when it came to the trash removal part. I guess the good thing, the silver lining, is I now know what 40,000 pounds looks like in a dumpster. Not what I wanted to find out, not what I needed to know, not what I wanted to know, but it's what I now know. What we got right was definitely having Tom and his guys come out and help us finish. For those of you that watched our last video, and if you didn't, I'll link it right here. Basically, we were in the process of renovating the main house and getting the rest of the trash and debris out of our lot. We basically ran out of time. Snow hit, we knew it was coming, but we were able to get it all in basically 2 large stacks. And at that point, we realized we were definitely gonna need some help. Fortunately, in this process, I had run into Tom Secor, who's a contractor that actually happens to own a huge lot across the street from ours. He's got all the equipment, he's got all the manpower. So we were able to work out a deal where basically I was able to call off the dumpsters, call off the trash removal, and not having to be physically on site every day in exchange for these guys being able to pull it out, get it out of there, and being able to remove everything. While their full-time job was snow removal during the wintertime, they were able to kind of work on it through the winter, and as well as kind of burn the rest of the wood pile that was able to be legally burned. These guys did a great job. They brought in some equipment that I certainly never thought of. They brought in this huge sifter. The sifter was super helpful in the fact that they basically were able to load everything that was all stuck together, mud, gravel, sticks, wood, etc., put it in the sifter. The sifter basically shakes it all out, drops it all off, so there's a bunch of dirt at the bottom. Everything that gets caught in the sifter itself, they obviously remove. By getting all of that dirt, they were able to fill in the holes that we had on the lot. Never even would have thought of it, didn't even know it existed, to be quite honest with you. And then they started to do the renovation on the main house, which really just meant they were going to pull everything apart, get everything down, so we could start our full renovation, getting our community hub in the main building figured out. Definitely having experts local to the area is a huge win as far as understanding how to, get things done in a more efficient way. So super glad that we were able to get Tom and his guys and a couple other local contractors that we had to help do some flooring work inside the main house. Of course, having guys that are local on site as far as equipment, that was a good call versus us trying to just do every little possible thing we could to try to save some money. So again, going through the learning process, we always want to do as much as we can, but there's also a fine line between what is it going to cost us to try to learn on the job or learn as we go. The third thing we got wrong was I think we got a little tunnel vision on the idea for the main building. We had originally bought 6 tiny homes. One was going to be a laundry room. We changed that idea when we went to 6 tiny homes, and we decided that we were going to make the main building a community hub for guests completely, and a laundry room in the back, etc. We had the vision for opening up the ceiling, so basically where there's a first and second floor, we were going to take out half of the upper level. Now as we pulled this thing apart and we're now staring at it from a structural point of view, it may not be completely possible to open this up and do this way. Anything can be done with enough money, but it may not be cost effective for us to open that up. I have no regrets that we pulled it apart because we had to figure out what's going on, but I think we might have gotten a little too drilled into a certain idea, whereas we probably should have opened it up first before kind of committing to exactly what we're gonna do. I wouldn't say we're completely back to square one on that, but we're just definitely we're gonna have to revisit this and just kind of decide how we may wanna choose to incorporate the main building into our build. We'll definitely still have a laundry room. We'll definitely still have some type of community access to this building. It just may not be the whole building, or it may be separated by floors, just haven't decided exactly what. I'm gonna go ahead and say right now, demolition is complete. There's an asterisk that really means 95%, but the fact that we were able to do this before all this hardcore snow really goes, is a huge testament to my guys, Johnny and Chris, and then of course to the cheat code guys, Tom and his crew. So big thanks to those guys. But yeah, we're moving along. We're gonna make this happen. We're gonna will it into happening. We are stoked. We're definitely getting to a point where these tiny homes are going to be coming. We're gonna get to work and you're going to see the tiny homes. They're taking shape, so that'll be on our next video. Look forward to that happening. YouTube said you'd like this video next. Let's see if they're right. This is where I left it. There was still a bunch of stacks here, and then way back there was that huge stack we talked about earlier. It's all gone, all done, which is just freaking amazing.